Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela, I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady, and welcome back to today's product review. Now this one is for the WoolJeanie. Now this is my old faithful. I've had this one for easily 2 years now. It's still going strong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, and it is just like it was when I first bought it. But I got a second one, and because I've decided I need two, just on the off chance that I'm running two different colours within a project at the same time. I will explain more in a few moments, so let's get on with the review. So as I said in the opening titles, this WoolJeanie I've had for 2 years. Absolutely love it. I was tempted to get the smaller version, which is the travel version, but it had always been out of stock at my Gorgeous suppliers. Now of course my Gorgeous supplier has closed her doors, so pretty much the only places you may find this are over on certain places that I've stuck in the description box and down below, because I haven't really done a full search yet. I know I've seen them on Amazon though. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out the one that I had in a packet. Oh, I really should have had it up there. In a packet, I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to show you how to put it together, and then how to use it, and then of course give you any little tips and tricks that I've learned over the last year. Okay, so here we are, camera's pointing down, so you can have a look at how the package will turn up to you. It's all in bits. You've got an instruction manual, so that makes it a little bit easier. Let's get all this out and distinguish what is what. Right. Oh. Now this device comes with a really cool plate like this. This looks really strange, but it means that when you put it together, and it looks like this, you can move it around, and you have a little section here that sits inside, or rests inside I should say, so that your yarn can rest. Oh, it can actually rest when you're not using it, which is how my other one's set up at the moment. And you can also move this little section around your table or your workspace with the ball of yarn on, so you don't have to worry about it so much. Okay, so let's get to identifying and setting this up. Right, so this is the WoolJeanie. It is a magnetically suspended pendulum wool feeder, and it is manufactured by Cartwright Plastics. All parts are recyclable, and all parts available have spares. I really need to look them up so that I can get the extra bits I want. Now the instruction manual for putting this together is really nice and easy. You've got a section at the front here which explains how to load your yarn on once it has been made, and then the inside is pictures and then the back shows it sitting without any yarn on, and then of course with a ball of yarn. So let's get putting this together, shall we? Now to start off with, you're going to find your two sections that look like this. This is the center section. Let's move the others out of the way for a moment. Okay, you are going to take the one with the pointy end, and then you are going to have the other one with the open end. Okay, so they look like that, and you're just going to poke it in. Now it is quite tight. It works to give it a little bit of a twist as you're moving it up. Okay, once you can't see the center section anymore, you know you're done. Right, now we're going to remove this clip. So the orange thing, you just remove that, put it to one side because I believe you need it later. You are then going to find the next two sections. Okay, now that is the one that looks a bit like a hat and the little diddy disc. Okay, you are then going to take the end that had the plastic that on it. You're going to poke it from the top of the hat and down until, of course, you hear that click. And then we're going to start working on the bottom in this little section here. You're going to take your flat disc with the section that's poking up. You're going to place that around the base of your stick and push it in. Lovely and easy. Then, you know, this little plastic thing that I said don't get rid of, go and grab it back out the bin and let's click that on. Okay, so you just make sure that that is popped into the hole as well. That stops the whole thing undoing. Right, now to work on to the next bit. So let's pop this to one side, and we are going to grab the lump of metal, the weird triangle thing, and the two bases. You don't need this little base disc at the moment. So let's work on putting this section together. Right, so what we're going to do is we are going to take our metal section. This is the magnet end, this is the boring end. So we take the boring end and then, yeah, making sure that you've got it up the right way. Okay, so you've got the square section to the bottom, so we're working on the thinner section first. You're going to just place the metal section in and push it down until you can't push it any further. Then we're going to take this section here, and where this little slice is, you're going to make sure that that is the bit that this section clips into. So just push it in, be quite forceful, you need a bit of strength on that one, and you just ram it in until it won't go no further. This one's bigger. Oh, I hadn't done the metal bit, so it's always nice, good idea to check that you've done the metal section. Okay, so let me just change the camera angle and I'll show you what this bit is looking like now. Okay, so and now you have the stand section complete. You also have your spindle section complete, and there's just this one little disc left. Now this little disc sits in the base section here, just pops in. Now this piece does also pop in and out. Why aren't you going in? Because I'm being too gentle. You don't have to worry about being forceful with this one or being gentle. You're not going to break it. I should know. I'm heavy-handed for the most part. Okay, and now it's just a case of loading up your yarn. Now on my first one, as you can see, I've got a bog standard 100-gram ball of yarn. Now a couple of tips and tricks with these ones. They work perfectly fine until you get to around the 45 gram mark. Once you get to that point, the balls do start collapsing and the yarn can catch as you're working. It's definitely not as bad as if you were center pulling. Okay, now remember, with this product, all of the yarns that you are working, you'll be working from the outside, whether it be a ball, a cake, a skein. No, we can't do them, you have to wind them. But basically, anything that you put on here, you'll be working from the outside, not the inside. So make sure, if you have a cake, that the colours are in the order that you want to work them, from the outside inwards. Now all you're going to do is grab your cake, find that centre hole, and then pop it through, and then place it on. Okay, now you've got this tiny little section here that actually rests your yarn very snugly onto your device before you start to use, and it is that simple to set it up. Now comes the fun bit, where you're going to be working with your yarn. Make sure this is on a flat base, and I find it works better if it's slightly above the level of where my crochet hooks are going to be. Okay, so if I'm being lazy and I'm sitting on the sofa, I have this on a table, and the table is slightly higher than the side of my sofa. That way the yarn feeds off a lot quicker and a lot easier. Now, just to use this, all we need to do is lift this pole up, and if you watch slowly, a magnet comes out. Oh, you can't see it. Oh, let me bring it close. Right. Okay, so it sits like this, nice and flat. I'll put my hand there so you can see. As you bring it up, a magnet pops out. Can you see that spike? And that is what holds your yarn. And as you can see, you can move it around quite nicely, quite free flowing. Okay, and then it's just a case of taking your yarn. I'm going to do it from the other one because this cake's not to be used yet. You find your end. Right, so let's work on to the tips when using your winder. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure that you know where the end of your yarn is before you attach it, just in case it gets caught or pulled up in your ball. Always leave a gap at the bottom. Okay, this might sound daft, you're probably more tempted to get it and just plonk it on like that, but don't do that. Lift it up so that you can see this base section here. That way, as the yarn spins around, the bottom section detaches easier. Now, as you're working with your yarn and you're pulling it and you're going, this thing will naturally spin. Sometimes if you've got an awkward yarn, it will get caught a little and it will swing. Sometimes it goes so back crazy that it's spinning round like a lunatic like that. And all you need to do is touch it to stop it, and it will slowly unravel your yarn. Now, as you get used to working with this, it becomes a second nature not to yank your yarn like you would have done if you were pulling it out of a center pull. You literally just work, and it only needs the gentlest of touch to release the yarn. That's how gentle I'm being. Okay, now you can speed up as you wish and keep going. Right, I find it really lovely to work with, and it's meant that my yarn does not tangle as much as it has done in the past when I center pull a ball to keep my ball neat and tidy. I haven't found any real issues with it, apart from the fact of when I'm daft and I yank it and it overspins. But as you may have seen, when it does go that mad, 9 out of 10 times the yarn just slides underneath here and just spins round and round and round and round and round. Be careful of that though, or is it a really good thing, but be careful, because that could untwist the twist on your yarn as you're working it. My preferred style of yarn to use on this is caked, whether it's caked by myself or whether it is purchased as a cake like this one. I prefer the cakes. So what I would suggest is that if you're going to use this and you're using this for a decent sized project and you have a yarn winder, make your cakes up. Okay, don't do it like this and then go on to wind your cake, because otherwise you may have to cut your yarn. Okay, just automatically grab this, grab your yarn winder and wind it straight into a cake. I have also in the past stacked 2 cakes on this, so that I've got the 2 colours as and when needed. As long as one isn't attached to your project, only one, sorry, is attached to your project, the other cake will be fine and happy spinning around on the device. I've also had up to a 200 gram cake on this, so it can hold more than what the paperwork says, but it's trial and error, to be honest. And the majority of the yarns that I have used on this are DK and below, just mainly because of the weight. I'm trying to think, what did I, yes, I have used a 4 weight on it, but again it was only a 150 gram ball. It wasn't anything heavier than that, but totally I think I've had it hold 200 grams and it's been okay. Right, and a good thing is when you've finished using it, instead of having it dangling overnight, you just park it back onto its base. That way, if the cat comes along and starts playing with it, it's not going to unwind your yarn. As you can see, it's quite sturdy. And it will fall off the counter. Lovely. Mine's fallen off so many times because of my old cats. Now if you're using a wool and your wool is very catchy and you notice that it has catched and it's not pulling, make sure that you stop the spindle and tease the yarn, okay, so that you separate it that way, rather than using the spinning of this all the time. Okay, so if it's a right angle, make sure you stop. Because the wool clinging to a ball will also stop the spin. You should not feel any drag whilst working with your yarn using this device. And that's pretty much it for the information I had on the leaflet that I cheekily nabbed. As I said, I find this brilliant. You can, in the UK, pick them up for under £16. I will have links in the description box down below of the places where I've found it the cheapest. And I will also see if I can find the actual maker's information, because I may be able to get the extra bits that I wanted. Now what you can do is you can purchase this as a full unit, and then you can also purchase the spindle and bases, so that's those 3 sections, separately as a replacement kit, which means of course that you can have your yarns loaded up, ready to go on bases, and then all you have to do is swap them out when you're ready to use them. So it's an ideal little gadget, and it works alongside the wool winder, and really lovely. Okay, so I have a basic wool winder, just one of them, just cheap and cheerful. I think I got it from Wish. I do have a video on this with tips and tricks, which will be linked in the I button. Now I haven't got anything on this one at the moment, but when I hanked this one, and when I hank all of mine, watch the tips and tricks section, I put a little piece, I put the label sometimes on the inside, I roll it and I push that into the center of the ball as I'm pulling up, especially now that I'm using this, because then it means that it slides on a lot easier, I don't have to push it through and wiggle it like I did earlier. And it also means that I've got all the information for the yarn at the bottom. Now you can, of course, when using the wool winder, you can of course do it your own way. We all do, but check out the tips and tricks in that video, see if any of them are any good for you, and of course if any will work alongside your WoolJeanie. Right, that is it for me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and as you can see, I like it that much, I've bought two. Right, that is it for me for today. I will see you all really soon. So please remember, stay chilled, stay happy and keep crafting. Goodbye everybody.